I was somebody who was like 100% round earther, globe earther, whatever you want to call it. Now I would say I'm probably like 70-30, 60-40 on the round earth theory. I just have a few questions that I need answered first, and maybe and some, I guess, some proof to back it for me to get a better understanding of where the flat earthers are coming from. You know what I'm saying? So,
You in the right place, bro. You in the right place. Appreciate you, Mila.
awesome, awesome. Yeah. So the two questions I have. The first one is we have the sun and the moon, right? That give us a certain shape that we can see with the naked eye. And there's telescopes that scientists and individuals can see other planets and shit and stars, I guess. And they have similar shapes as well, spherical, circular, I guess. So for me, that's like one common sense take on why I would feel like the planet, our planet, could be that similar shape, right? The things that we're looking at outside of us are giving us a certain shape. And another thing is the travel, right? So recently, I just found out that Australia has the complete opposite climate as we do. I knew they had different time, like, but I mean, right now we're dealing with winter over there. It is like the hottest can be, like in the 90s, so
What?
when you, and then I hear about, I have a niece who recently just moved out there and stuff. So the plane travel that she was describing to me, that my sister was describing to me, was super interesting because the trajectory doesn't give me a flat earth trajectory. It gives me like a round earth trajectory where they had to go from like New York to LA to like Hawaii or some shit, and then back to somewhere else. Basically giving an impression that it has to dip at some point, especially since they have a completely different climate change. So those would be my two questions, right? On how the other planets that people can see with the naked eye are given a circular shape, and the time travel from here to Australia, like the States to Australia. Thank you, and I'll land my plane.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, man. So the luminaries in the sky do seem circular. Some seem to have some type of spherical shape, I guess, if you want to, take that stance from some of the rendered images that we get. But just because that you look up on the ceiling and you see, spherical light bulbs, that doesn't mean that the floor is spherical, right? Um, you can make a correlation, but that doesn't mean that that's actually something that's rational. Just because I got circular plates in my cupboard, it doesn't mean that you got circular plates. You may have square plates. So also the one thing that I like that Proud normally asks when this topic comes up is there any place in the sky that has similar properties to Earth? Because if we're the only one that has, this type of environment, that has, this type of land, that
You
has
know, hit me
water,
on Mars, y'all. You know, hit me on Mars.
you feel me? So it's just like if we're unique in that manner, why are we comparing ourselves to other places that don't have the components, that Earth has? So, it is kind of crazy to think about, like, damn, like out of everything in the sky, we're the ones that are unique. Well, yeah, that's the whole point why we hold Flat Earth Fridays and part of the topic today. It seems like everything is, centered around us. It seems like we are in a unique position, and every single observation points to that. Starting from a local scale all the way to an astronomical cosmological scale. So this is hard for current science to acknowledge. They got to make up a whole bunch of things to explain away this direct observation of centeredness and stationary whatever we're on. But that's the first like order measurement. Like that's our original position. So I would be careful comparing ourselves to other things in the sky until we find similarities. That's my first thing. And then the second thing you said about the distances, what was that? I think it was distances to
Yeah,
first one. I
how,
mean,
like, what would be the reason um, Australia has a completely different climate uh, than we do over here in the northern
I can,
hemisphere?
I can take this one if you want, Sacred.
Like, it's summer over there compared to us, where it's winter, and the time zone is completely different. I think it's like 1 in the afternoon or something like that over there. I gotta check, but
Yeah, so it isn't really exclusive to a globe, right? You can have
Fuck,
like
my
the
mic's
same
not
type of
working again.
observations like on a flat circle. So if you have the sun making shorter spirals like within the
Fuck.
equator. So right, if you think about like a flat clock, you have like an inner circle and something outside the circle. So the inner circle will be the northern hemisphere plane. Outside of the equator, outside of the circle will be the southern. So, the sun could spin differently at different elevations and have a different, energy source for all we know. Like we don't really adhere to what they tell us the sun is made of because it just seems physically impossible for what they claim it to be. So we don't know the medium. We don't really know exactly what it's made of or what it's actually doing. We could just observe what's actually happening. But we do know that the trajectory of the sun's path is different during different times of the year. So if it's spinning at a higher elevation, if it's doing smaller spirals as opposed to like larger spirals when it's uh, in different parts of the Earth across different seasons, we're going to get different effects. What's interesting though is that it doesn't work on a globe. Not sure if you realize this, but if you're in the northern hemisphere and you're, experiencing winter, we're actually closer to the sun in the globe model. Um, so again, I just want to make sure that I'm clear about this. So when we're in the northern hemisphere on a sphere and we are closest to the sun, we are experiencing winter while being closest to the sun. And they blame these changes on seasons, not on the distance to the heat source, which would be the sun, but on the angle that this ball is tilted away from the ecliptic. So it doesn't matter how close it gets to the sun, how further away it gets to the sun. All that matters is its tilt, which if you think about it, we tilt away every 24 hours, right? One tilt in one direction, just because it might be 23, 24 degrees off center, doesn't mean that the whole earth isn't spinning away and getting closer to the sun every 24 hours. So we're experiencing a tilt every 24 hours that they're saying that this tilt is affecting completely different seasons. And we know in the summertime you could have hot nights and you could have cold daytimes, right? In the wintertime. So I don't know if tilt is the best explanation for what's happening on the globe, but the seasons definitely don't fit in that model. So there's a lot of different ways to attack why it doesn't work on a globe and how it could work on a flat plane. You just have to have like some of the visuals in front of you. I don't know if I have any right now, but we talk about weather and stuff all the time. Um, my thing is before we start explaining it on a flat Earth, which we got to get a rational explanation on a globe Earth. Should be no way that we're closest to the sun in the wintertime. Does that make sense to you? Or did you even know that?
yeah, a little bit. I see what you're saying about that. That doesn't like us being closer to the sun and having wintertime is really that's really trippy. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty crazy. Um, but yeah, nah, it made somewhat sense. It answered some questions. Not all of it, but it answered some questions. And thank you, I appreciate that.
No doubt, man. We can start to unpack that a little bit more later on if you want to hang out for a little bit. Um, but I appreciate you at
Hey,
least taking that step to having that conversation, being open minded. Matthew, you want to chime in real quick?
no, he mentioned time zones. Does somebody want to take him through like that just real quick? Because like time zones on a globe are a mess. They're just an absolute mess. I mean, they all say it's political, but I mean, there's like what 24 time zones in the south and 18 in the north, and then they're all like just weirdly jagged. They make no sense on a globe. Then you look at them on flat Earth, and it's perfect. It looks like a dartboard, like a perfect dartboard. So I thought somebody should mention that.
Yo,
I
can
appreciate that. I forgot about the time
is
zone point.
my
So
mic
yeah,
working?
like they don't have equal time zones in the north and the south. They're all like jagged, just like Matthew said. It's not like equal, and they blame this convenience on, you know, political reasons, or like, oh, well, depending on what time the market opens up, we want to move it to this time zone for this surface area, and over here it's going to be different because of this reason. It's just like, it just seems really convenient for the time zones and the coordinate systems to align with a globe, but it doesn't align with the actual geography of the globe. And that'd be my problem. It's like, yo, it has to be equal, has to have some type of equivalence. You can't just make things up in order for it to fit something and say, no one's really living over there in the water, so we don't got to worry about that jagged edge of the time zone over there in the middle of the Pacific or whatever the case is. Like, no, bro, all that matters because the sun is supposed to be moving at a specific constant degree, 15 degrees per hour. So, like, why the time zones different? It should be pretty much equal. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Matthew. We still haven't done a space on that. We were supposed to do it after magnetic declination, but like every time we start approaching a different topic, something comes up. So we still gonna have to break down time zones because that is like a sphere killer, bro. Like, it just literally doesn't make sense when you look at it how they put it on a sphere. It just doesn't match up at all. It looks crazy.